Now, in terms of the other sequence rule for geometric equations, we have the following. A sub n is equal to a sub 1, parentheses r raised to the n minus 1. Right? Now, if we take a look, the terms are very similar to what we had before. A sub 1 is equal to the first term, so that hasn't changed. And then they throw a loop and give an r in here, and it's because they call it the common ratio. You could also think about it as what is your change, or specifically, what is your multiplier? Remember how we talked about geometric sequences, you could multiply or divide? Well, because we write it with an exponent, which is a shorthand way of saying repeated multiplication, we're specifically interested in what do we multiply each time. Okay, so let's take a look at an example or two. First up, we have this geometric sequence right here, 5, 15, 45, and 135. Again, that first term hopefully is easy to identify. It's whatever's first in your list. So I know that my A1 is going to be 5. And then I take a look to see what I'm doing each time. And to get from 5 to 15, I'm multiplying by 3. And to get from 15 to 45, I'm also multiplying by 3. And to get from 45 to 135, I'm also multiplying by 3. That means that R, or my common ratio, is going to be that multiplier, or 3. So, plugging those into my formula, I'm going to have A sub n is equal to A sub 1, my first term, which is 5, parentheses, R, or my common ratio, or multiplier, which is 3, and then finally my exponent, which is n minus 1. And so that, in its entirety, would be my formula for this sequence right here. Okay? Taking a look at one more example, let's look at the following. 800, 400, 200, dot, dot, dot. Again, that first term, hopefully we're pretty comfortable with that by now. It's probably one of my favorite pieces to identifying these formulas because it's staring right at you. And then I want to think about what I'm doing to get from one number to the next. And when you look at this, you might at first glance say, hey, I'm dividing by 2, which would be true. 800 divided by 2 is 400, 400 divided by 2 is 200, and so on. But remember what we mentioned about our formula. We want it as a multiplier. So rather than saying divide by 2, I'm going to say multiply by 1/2 and multiply by 1/2. So that means my R value right here is going to be a 1/2. Okay? With that in mind, we can then set up our formula. A sub n is equal to my first term, 800, parentheses R, which is 1/2, and then n minus 1. And that would be the formula for this geometric sequence.